Welcome, friend, to Dream Bites, a podcast where the magic of storytelling meets the power of imagination. Each episode is a warm invitation to explore a world unlike any other, carefully crafted to transport you to new realms of wonder. So, find a cozy spot, settle in, and let the friendly voice of our narrator be your guide on this exciting adventure. And now, dear listener, it's time to embark on today's delightful story.
The Prankster Posse. Chapter 1. The Magical Mayhem begins. In the enchanted land of Whimsical, where the rivers sparkled with laughter and the trees whispered secrets, there was a magical school filled with wonder and mischief. The hallways echoed with the giggles of pixies and the soft hoots of scholarly owls. The air was thick with the scent of freshly baked spellbooks and the tangy aroma of potion experiments gone awry. It was here that three unlikely friends, Elliot the elf, Fiona the fairy, and Rupert the rabbit, found themselves in the midst of a most peculiar problem. Elliot, with his messy chestnut hair and a pointed hat that changed colours with his mood, was known throughout the school for his clever pranks and ability to turn invisible at will. As he strolled through the hallways, his mismatched socks emitting puffs of glitter with each step, he couldn't help but grin at the thought of the day's mischief. The sound of his laughter mingled with the tinkling of enchanted wind chimes that hung from the ceiling. However, his smile quickly faded as he rounded the corner and spotted Burt, the school bully. Burt was an ogre with warty green skin and small tusks, towering over the other students with a menacing glare. He stomped through the halls, his heavy footsteps sending vibrations through the floor and causing the nearby lockers to rattle. The air seemed to grow colder in his presence, and the once lively chatter of the students quieted to a fearful whisper. Well, well, if it isn't the little elf, Burt sneered, his eyes narrowing as he caught sight of Elliot. Think you're so clever with your invisibility. Let's see how fast you can disappear when I catch you. Elliot's heart raced as Burt lunged forward, his large hands grasping at the air where the elf had been standing just moments before. With a mischievous grin, Elliot turned invisible, leaving behind only a faint shimmer in the air and the lingering scent of cinnamon as he darted away. Burt roared in frustration, his face turning a deeper shade of green as he chased after the invisible elf, knocking over stacks of enchanted books and sending papers flying in his wake. The once neatly organised hallway now looked as though a tornado had torn through it. Elliot, his hat now a bright yellow, weaved through the crowded hallways, narrowly avoiding the other students as he tried to outmaneuver the rampaging ogre. The air whooshed past his ears, and the startled yelps of his classmates filled the air. Just as Burt's fingers brushed against his sleeve, Elliot spotted his friends, Fiona and Rupert, waving to him from a nearby classroom. With a final burst of speed, Elliot leapt through the open doorway, becoming visible once more as he tumbled to the floor in a shower of glitter. Fiona, her iridescent wings fluttering with concern, helped him to his feet while Rupert tapped his foot rapidly, ready to speed off at a moment's notice. That was too close, Elliot panted, his hat now a deep blue. We can't let Burt keep terrorising the school like this. We have to do something. Fiona nodded, her hair turning a determined shade of purple. You're right, Elliot. It's time we used our magic for more than just pranks. It's time we stood up to Burt and showed him that laughter is more powerful than fear. Rupert grinned, his whiskers twitching with excitement. I think I have an idea. What if we formed a secret group dedicated to using our abilities to bring joy and laughter to the school? We could call ourselves the Prankster Posse. Elliot and Fiona exchanged a glance, their eyes sparkling with mischief. The Prankster Posse, Elliot repeated, a slow smile spreading across his face. I like the sound of that. As the three friends huddled together, whispering and plotting, the sweet scent of friendship and the electric tingle of excitement filled the air. The magical mayhem of Whimsical School was about to take a most unexpected turn, one filled with laughter, friendship, and the power of a good prank. Chapter 2. The Birth of the Prankster Posse. In the cosy confines of the enchanted classroom, Elliot, Fiona and Rupert huddled together, their eyes gleaming with determination and mischief. The three friends knew that if they wanted to put an end to Burt's reign of terror, they would have to work together and use their unique magical abilities. All right, Prankster Posse, Elliot grinned, his hat turning a vibrant shade of green to match his excitement. It's time we showed Burt that he can't push us around anymore, and what better way to do that than with a prank of our own? Fiona's hair shimmered with anticipation, shifting from purple to a bright, mischievous orange. Ooh, I like the way you think, Elliot. My colour-changing powers can create the perfect distraction while you two work your magic. Rupert tapped his foot rapidly, a grin spreading across his face. And I can use my super speed to make the switch before Burt even realises what's happening. Together, we'll be unstoppable. Elliot's eyes sparkled as he leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Picture this. We swap Burt's lunch with a bucket of giggling, slimy worms. He'll be so surprised he won't know what hit him. With their plan set in motion, the prankster posse put their scheme into action. As lunchtime arrived, Fiona flitted into the cafeteria, her hair and wings shifting through a dazzling array of colours. The students and teachers alike couldn't help but stare in awe at the mesmerising display, marvelling at Fiona's incredible ability. Meanwhile, Rupert zipped through the kitchen unseen, his super speed allowing him to swap Burt's lunch tray with a bucket of enchanted worms in the blink of an eye. His agility and quick thinking were essential to the success of their prank. Elliot, invisible and grinning from ear to ear, watched as Burt lumbered into the cafeteria, completely unaware of the surprise that awaited him. Elliot's invisibility provided the perfect cover for their mischievous plan. As Burt lifted the lid of his lunch tray, the cafeteria erupted in laughter. The worms, tickled by the sudden exposure to light, began to giggle and squirm, their slimy bodies wriggling in every direction. Burt's face turned a deep shade of red as he realised he'd been pranked, his eyes darting around the room in search of the culprits. The prankster posse, safely hidden among the other students, couldn't contain their laughter. They high-fived each other, revelling in the success of their first official prank. Each of their unique abilities had played a crucial role in pulling off the hilarious stunt. However, their celebration was short-lived as Burt's eyes narrowed, his gaze settling on the trio. "You think this is funny?" he growled, his voice low and menacing. "Just wait until I get my hands on you. This means war." As Burt stormed out of the cafeteria, leaving a trail of disgruntled, giggling worms in his wake, Elliot, Fiona and Rupert exchanged a determined glance. They knew they had started something big, and there was no turning back now. With a resolute nod, Elliot adjusted his hat, the colour shifting to a bold, confident red. "All right, prankster posse, we started this, and now we've got to see it through. It's time to show Burt that laughter and friendship are more powerful than fear and bullying." Fiona and Rupert nodded in agreement, their own resolve strengthening. Together, the prankster posse knew they could take on anything, even an angry ogre with a thirst for revenge. Their individual strengths and unbreakable bond would guide them through the challenges ahead. The prank war had begun, and the prankster posse was ready to face whatever lay ahead, armed with their wits, their magic, and the power of their friendship. In that moment, they knew that together, they could bring joy and laughter to Whimsical School, one prank at a time. Chapter 3. The Prank War Escalates. As the days turned into weeks, the prankster posse's mischievous antics grew bolder and more elaborate. The enchanted halls of Whimsical School echoed with the sound of their laughter, a melodic counterpoint to the frustrated grumbles of their target, Burt the ogre. Elliot, his hat a vivid shade of purple, took the lead in their latest scheme. With a sly grin, he used his invisibility to sneak into Burt's locker, leaving behind a generous dusting of itching powder in the ogre's gym clothes. As he slipped away unseen, Elliot could barely contain his giggles, imagining the look on Burt's face when he discovered the prank. Meanwhile, Fiona flitted through the hallways, her hair a vibrant blue, and her wings leaving a trail of shimmering dust in her wake. With a wave of her hand, she cast a spell on Burt's homework, magically rearranging the letters into nonsensical gibberish. The once carefully crafted essays now read like the ramblings of a mad wizard, sure to leave Burt scratching his head in confusion. Not to be outdone, Rupert zipped through the school at lightning speed, his paws a blur as he tied Burt's shoelaces together in a series of intricate knots. He knew that the moment Burt tried to take a step, he'd stumble and trip, his face turning a comical shade of crimson as he struggled to untangle the mess. As the prankster posse's antics escalated, so too did Burt's determination to catch them. The ogre's heavy footsteps thundered through the halls as he chased after the elusive trio, his eyes narrowed in anger and frustration. But no matter how close he came, Elliot, Fiona and Rupert were always one step ahead. In moments when Burt would draw near, Fiona would wave her hand, conjuring a dazzling display of colourful lights that danced through the air like fireflies. The ogre would stop in his tracks, momentarily transfixed by the mesmerising swirls of colour, giving the prankster posse just enough time to make their escape, their laughter echoing in the halls behind them. However, as the prank war raged on, Burt began to feel the weight of his actions more keenly. He watched as his classmates gathered around Elliot, Fiona and Rupert, their faces alight with joy and admiration. The realisation that his bullying had left him isolated and alone slowly began to sink in, a heavy feeling settling in the pit of his stomach. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Burt sought out the guidance of his favourite teacher, Elvar, a wise old centaur with a kind smile and understanding eyes. As Burt poured out his heart, confessing his feelings of loneliness and the growing sense that his actions were wrong, Elvar listened patiently, his gaze filled with compassion. "Burt," Elvar began softly, placing a comforting hand on the young ogre's shoulder. "Perhaps it's time to consider a different path. Instead of seeking to intimidate and control others, why not try to forge genuine connections? You may be surprised by the joy and acceptance that awaits you when you open your heart to friendship." Burt's brow furrowed as he contemplated Elvar's words, a glimmer of hope sparking to life within him. He knew that changing his ways would not be easy, that it would require him to confront the insecurities and fears that had driven him to lash out in the first place. But for the first time, he could see a different future for himself, one filled with laughter, camaraderie, and true belonging. As Burt left Elvar's office, his steps were lighter, his heart a little less burdened. The prank war that had begun as a battle of wits and magic had unexpectedly set him on a path towards something far more precious, the chance to forge real friendships and find his place in the world. And though the journey ahead was sure to be filled with challenges and setbacks, Burt knew that he was ready to face them head-on. For in the end, the greatest prank of all would be the one he played on himself, the prank of letting go of his past and embracing a brighter, more hopeful future. Chapter 4. The Unlikely Alliance. With Elvar's words echoing in his mind, Burt took a deep breath and approached the prankster posse. His heart pounded in his chest as he saw Elliot, Fiona and Rupert eyeing him warily, their bodies tense and ready to flee at a moment's notice. "Hey guys," Burt began, his voice trembling slightly. "I know I've been horrible to you, and I'm really sorry. I want to make things right. I want to be your friend, if you'll give me a chance." Fiona's hair shifted to a cautious shade of purple as she stepped forward, her wings fluttering gently. "How do we know this isn't just another trick, Burt?" Burt hung his head, his shoulders slumping. "I know I don't deserve your trust, but I'm asking for a chance to prove myself. I have an idea for a prank that could bring the whole school together, but I need your help to pull it off." Elliot and Rupert exchanged skeptical glances, but Fiona closed her eyes for a moment, as if searching for something within herself. When she opened them again, her hair had changed to a warm, inviting gold. "I sense your sincerity, Burt," she said, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Let's hear your idea." A flicker of hope danced in Burt's eyes as he shared his plan for a grand prank at the upcoming Magical Creatures Gala. "I know a way to make the decorations come to life," he explained, his voice growing more animated with each word. "We could have the streamers tickle people's noses and the flowers burst into candy showers." Rupert's eyes widened with excitement. "That sounds amazing! And with my super speed, I could help set everything up in a flash." Elliot nodded, a grin spreading across his face. "And I could use my invisibility to sneak around and make sure everything goes off without a hitch." As the quartet began to discuss the details of their plan, the tension in the air began to dissipate, replaced by a growing sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. Over the next few days, the prankster posse worked tirelessly to bring their grand plan to life. They met in secret, huddled together in quiet corners of the school, laughing and scheming as they wove their magic into the very fabric of the decorations. Burt's knowledge of ogre enchantments proved invaluable, and he taught the others how to imbue the streamers and flowers with mischievous energy. As they worked together, the walls between them started to crumble, and a genuine friendship began to take root. "You know, Burt," Elliot said one day, his hat a contented shade of blue. "I never thought I'd say this, but I'm really glad you're part of the team." Burt smiled, a warmth spreading through his chest. "Thanks, Elliot. I never knew how good it could feel to have real friends. I'm sorry for all the trouble I caused before." Fiona placed a comforting hand on Bert's arm. "We all make mistakes, Burt. What matters is that you're trying to make things right." As the day of the Magical Creatures Gala drew near, the Prankster Posse put the finishing touches on their grand plan, their hearts filled with excitement and a newfound sense of unity. And Burt? For the first time in his life, he felt like he truly belonged. He had found something far more precious than he ever could have imagined, the magic of true friendship. Chapter 5. The Grand Gala Pranktastic Finale. The night of the Magical Creatures Gala had finally arrived, and the Prankster Posse was buzzing with excitement. Elliot, his hat a dazzling gold, adjusted his mismatched socks, the glitter sparkling with each step. Fiona flitted about, her wings shimmering in a kaleidoscope of colours that matched her hair. Rupert tapped his foot, his eyes darting around the room, ready to spring into action at a moment's notice. And then there was Burt, the newest member of their mischievous band. The ogre stood tall, his green skin gleaming under the twinkling lights. For the first time in his life, he felt a sense of belonging, a warmth that spread from his heart to the tips of his toes. As the gala guests began to arrive, the Prankster Posse exchanged knowing glances, their faces alight with anticipation. The grand hall was resplendent, with enchanted streamers dancing through the air and bouquets of flowers that seemed to whisper secrets to one another. Elliot gave a subtle nod, and the prank began to unfold. The streamers, imbued with Burt's ogre magic, began to swoop down upon the unsuspecting guests, tickling their noses and eliciting peals of laughter. Rupert zipped through the crowd, his speed causing the streamers to swirl and dance in his wake. Fiona waved her hand, and suddenly the bouquets burst into showers of candy, raining down upon the delighted attendees. The air was filled with the sweet scent of chocolate and the joyful shrieks of surprise. As the prank reached its crescendo, Burt stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. He took a deep breath, and with a wave of his hand, the entire hall was filled with a soft, shimmering light. The laughter faded to a hushed whisper as all eyes turned to the ogre. "I have something to say," Burt began, his voice trembling slightly. "For too long I've been a bully, causing pain and fear instead of joy and laughter. But thanks to my friends," he gestured to the Prankster Posse, "I've learned that laughter and friendship are far more powerful than fear." He paused, his eyes glistening with tears. "I'm sorry for the hurt I've caused, and I promise to spend every day trying to make amends. Tonight, let's celebrate the magic of laughter and the power of friendship." As Burt finished his speech, the hall erupted in thunderous applause. Elliot, Fiona and Rupert rushed to his side, their arms wrapping around him in a tight embrace. Tears of joy streamed down their faces as they realised they had accomplished something far greater than any prank. They had transformed a bully into a true friend. The gala continued long into the night, with laughter and magic intertwined in a dazzling display of unity and acceptance. And as the Prankster Posse watched their fellow students dance and play, they knew that this was just the beginning of a new era at Whimsical School, an era filled with the power of friendship, the magic of laughter, and the unbreakable bonds forged by the most unlikely of alliances. Epilogue. Years later, as the members of the Prankster Posse gathered for a reunion at Whimsical School, they reminisced about the unforgettable night of the Magical Creatures Gala. Elliot, now a successful invisibility consultant, grinned as he recounted the look on Burt's face when the bouquets burst into candy. Fiona, her hair a contented shade of lavender, spoke of how that night had inspired her to become a teacher, dedicating her life to fostering friendship and understanding among her students. Rupert, still as quick as ever, zipped around the room, distributing hugs and laughter with equal speed. And Burt, the once feared bully turned beloved friend, stood tall and proud, his heart filled with gratitude for the friendship that had changed his life. As they stood together, their arms linked in an unbreakable bond, the Prankster Posse knew that the magic they had created that night would live on forever, a testament to the power of friendship, forgiveness, and the enduring magic of laughter. The end.
And there you have it, dear listener. Another enchanting journey brought to life by the magic of storytelling. We hope that this tale has sparked your imagination and left you with a sense of wonder. As we close this chapter, remember that there's always another story waiting to be discovered. So keep your sense of curiosity alive and join us again for the next episode of Dream Bites. Until then, may your own adventures be filled with the same excitement and delight as the ones we've shared here. And always remember, the power of imagination knows no bounds. Thank you for being a part of the Dream Bites story. See you next time.